Listen to Pombo and Peter's Picks, the home of your favorite sports betting podcast. Presented by The Daily Goat.
Hello and welcome to episode 15 of Pombo and Peter's Picks. I'm Jason Pombo alongside Peter Elves. How are we doing today, Peter?
What's up? Drowning in real life. It's all good.
Drowning in real life. So Peter's got some big projects this week at school. I do as well, so we've been kind of grinding.
But
so
Peter and Pombo's picks never stop.
Exactly. How did your stuff go?
Oh, it's pretty good. I mean, 45-minute presentation today. Always fun.
Just like we do a 45-minute podcast.
Yeah,
just think of it that way, right?
Yeah, but I don't have anybody else to like bounce my ideas off.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
It's me talking 45 minutes.
Would have been much better if it was a group project.
Yeah. Well, my group project's an hour and a half. In like 3 weeks. So
that's unfortunate. But we're going to make the best of our situations, and we're going to try to continue to give you guys some good betting advice along with some good sports stakes. So without further ado, Peter, let's recap last week. So for me personally, I went 2-1 on the week. I had the Portland Trailblazers winning last Friday, which was a W. I had Baylor -5, which was a W. And then my one loss was Gonzaga at -14.5, and that was an L. So I ended up 2-1 on the weekend. Not too bad. I mean, Portland was my premium pick of the week, so I got that right. I felt pretty confident about Gonzaga and Baylor, but one came to fruition, the other one did not, because that was a hell of a game. We'll talk about it in a couple minutes. But
yeah, so I went 1-2. The only one that I won was the Dodgers over the Rockies on Friday. As you said, we both lost Gonzaga -14, and I lost the Baylor-Houston game under 135. But on Twitter, we made the championship pick, and I picked Baylor +4.5. So, pound on the back for me. You picked Gonzaga, right?
I did. I picked Gonzaga, yes.
Yeah.
L.
But we both picked the over on that game, and that went way under. So
it wasn't way under. It was just 4 to 6 points under, I think.
Yeah.
Whatever it was under. I saw a stat. The over with I think 10 minutes left in the game. There was a 96% chance the over would hit with 10 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, they lost by 3 points. The over.
So hopefully we can bounce back this week. Have we went 3-0 together?
No, because every time you do, I think you're the only one that does it, and then I get like 2-1 or like 0-3. I'm bringing the team down. That's all right.
We're gonna do it. One of these days, one of these weeks, we're gonna do it.
Maybe this is the week.
This is the week. If not, you know what? By the end of this month, we're both going to go undefeated, and we'll be very happy. No, we did go undefeated. Was it the wild card weekend or divisional weekend?
I don't know. All I remember is like the Twitter picks.
Yeah, maybe not then. I don't know. Whatever. We're gonna keep going though. We're gonna keep going. Okay, so let's start off with March Madness, like we talked about. Before we get into the national championship game, I kind of want to talk about the Final Four game between UCLA and Gonzaga. In my opinion, that was the best college basketball game I ever seen in my life.
Oh, me too. There's people that on Twitter that were like, "Oh, I missed it for some reason." I was like, "That's a crime." Like that's the best game I've ever seen, and UCLA was an 11th seed. They gave Gonzaga a run for their money right at the end too, overtime.
It was great. The game had every element of it. It was so close. There was great offensive play. There was good defensive stops, overtime, buzzer beater. It had everything you want in a Final Four game. And I mean, a lot of people coming into it, like us, thought Gonzaga would just blow the hell out of them and they'd win by 25 points going away. But that wasn't the case. UCLA came to play, and they gave Gonzaga all they could handle. UCLA, I think they shot 56% from the field, 47% from three, and they still lost.
Yeah, that's the best, probably underdog story ever. That, as you said, the spread was -14, and they only lost by like 3 points on the last second 3-pointer, which is insane too.
Exactly. It was one possession away from double overtime, and then who knows what's going to happen there. I thought it was great. I wrote an article about it on the Daily Go, and look, that was the best college basketball game I ever seen. And you don't get those every year. You don't. I mean, we get some fun.
When was that?
Stories.
Villanova, right? Villanova last second.
Villanova, North Carolina. That was a couple years ago. But even then, I think this game was better. I'd have to rewatch them. Maybe it's recency bias, but I just felt like this game was great.
Yeah, you're never going to see it like it again. And then, as you said, Gonzaga lost on Monday, which is an absolute shamble.
Yep. So let's transition to that. Do you believe that their effort in their Final Four matchup had anything to do with their lackluster performance on Monday night and their loss against Baylor?
No, I think it's more Baylor. Baylor had lockdown defense the whole game. Gonzaga can shoot it all, and they looked out of place. Maybe they're gassed from last game, but I don't know. Baylor just looked so much better. They were ready to go.
Yeah, the moment was too big for Gonzaga. Baylor played, again, like you just mentioned, lockdown defense, full court. They were just absolutely insane. It was a great defensive showcase for them. I picked Gonzaga. Peter picked Baylor.
Well, I
I
thought
felt
Gonzaga was going to win, though. I didn't think
you
Baylor.
had Baylor with the spread.
Yeah, plus 4.5, but still.
I felt comfortable with Gonzaga. I thought their offense was going to be able to pick apart that Baylor defense, but I underestimated Baylor. I did. I mean, coming into the tournament, you could argue they were the second or third best team in the tournament, but a lot of people kind of thought I don't know, I don't think they can give Gonzaga a fight. They had some COVID issues earlier. They were rolling. I believe they started off the season 17-0, and then they had some COVID issues, and it kind of threw them out of rhythm a little bit. Then they got into a little bit of funk, so people really weren't sure how to feel about them. But I mean, even the first two rounds of the tournament, they were just I don't know. They didn't overly impress me, but the last couple games, again, you can't deny how awesome they played. Even in their Final Four game against Houston, they played really well.
Yeah, they played lockdown defense in that too. I just think Gonzaga probably choked it away, honestly. I don't know, because obviously they're undefeated going into the championship game, and that would be an amazing thing, going undefeated all the way through. But I think they choked it away. I think it was not too, they thought it was going to be too easy because Baylor was the 1 seed, obviously, but I don't know.
I don't know if they underestimated Baylor. I think it was more that just they weren't, I don't think they've seen a team that could really lock them down defensively like that. They had no answer on the defensive side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball. They had zero answer. And it was, again, they were trying to do absolutely everything. Suggs couldn't get going. Timmy couldn't get going. And it was just a huge issue. But hey, shout out to Baylor. They earned it. And they stopped Gonzaga from making history, like you said. I mean, they would have been the first team college basketball history since 1976 to go undefeated and win the national championship. Since 1976. So they would have been in real,
class,
elite company. And again, they're going to be one of those what if stories, and that'll be the end of that. But overall, what are your thoughts on the NCAA tournament? Did you like it? Did you love it? You hate it? Was it okay?
Well, on a side note, before we get off of Baylor Gonzaga, I logged into TikTok the next day, and Baylor put out a TikTok, and they're doing the stupid Corvette thing that Juju does right in the middle of the
Juju Smith-Schuster
thing. Yeah, his thing, and I was like, why no? I can't root for you now.
You ruined it.
Yeah, I know. All the comments were like, no, why do you do that? But that's a side note. But no, the tournament was really, really good. They had some good finishes, and they made it all the way through. Like we said 2 weeks ago, the only blunder was the Oregon USC game, or whatever that game was.
Yeah, Oregon VCU. Yep.
Yeah, but that was the only one. They had some very good, memorable games, like the UCLA one, and a ton of upsets.
Exactly.
You can't do any of that. Not to bash on the women's side of the bracket, but a number one, obviously, Baylor, Gonzaga, number 1 seeds all the way through. But you had UCLA in the Final Four, but the women's side, you only had a 3 seed in the Final Four, which is kind of expected.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Just the upsets, they happen a lot in the men's side of the bracket. And look, you see Ohio State, they went down, right? Number 2 seed. They went out at the first round. Yep, to Oral Roberts. You saw Illinois go down, 1 seed. They lost to Loyola in the second round. So we saw those countless upsets. And another thing that was just really interesting, if you look at this tournament 10 feet away, right, you just take a step back and look at it big picture. There was no Duke. There was no Kentucky. There was no Louisville. North Carolina lost in the first round. All the blue chip schools that really draw in Kansas didn't really do much. All those schools that are typically up there, they weren't there. And it was a lot of these schools that have some good young talent, like Baylor, like Gonzaga, like UCLA on the up and coming, I think. And I think it was a very good showcase for the NCAA. I think it was a huge victory for them.
Yeah, it's not like college football where you know what teams are going to be in the Final Four, like Alabama, Clemson. And as you said, UCLA had to play in the playing game, and they're in the Final Four, almost making the championship.
Exactly. There is no other tournament on earth where that.
Oh, the sport.
Exactly, in a sport. Again, they weren't in the original tournament. They had to win their play-in game, and they did. And take it to the Final Four. And I thought that was just such a cool story. Oral Roberts, great story. Loyola Chicago, again, another pretty good story there. Reworking their magic from 2018. There's a whole bunch of it, and it was just great. And it was some good basketball along the way, like the Final Four game. Again, my favorite college basketball game that I've ever seen. Like tons
Yeah,
of
people are going to
great
be talking
basketball.
about that for a while.
Yep, great basketball all the way through. Big win for the NCAA. Big fan for college basketball fans. And not going to lie, I'm going to miss it. I mean, I was really into this tournament. I watched pretty much every single game. I'm going to miss it.
Yeah, me too. Obviously, it was great seeing it because COVID cut it short last year. But yeah,
They didn't get it
NCAA is
all.
nothing
Yeah,
like anything like it. It's nothing
it's
like
great.
it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's transition now to with one sport ends, another one starts, right? March Madness is over, but Major League Baseball has begun. The MLB got underway, and this is pretty much their second full week now. So, what are your takeaways for the first couple weeks here?
A lot of people are getting hurt. We'll get into that in a little bit, but we'll do the Red Sox sort of thing. I thought the world was gonna get swords on fire when they lost 3 straight to the Orioles, but they beat the Rays 3 straight handily, even though Tyler Glasnow is on the mound on Tuesday, and he's an amazing pitcher and maybe is in the not front runner, but like conversation for Cy Young.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a team that's gonna be really in there. And stop Boston media like saying that's over. It's not gonna be over.
Yeah, that's my next question. How much stock do you put into the first, I don't know, month of the season? I don't really
No,
put.
I don't. Give it April,
Yeah,
maybe even a little May too, because the
I mean,
whole East Coast is playing in like 30-degree weather.
exactly, and 100% agree with you. And look at the Washington Nationals. A couple of years, what was it, 2019, right? What did they start off the season? What were they, 19-19 or something like
Yeah,
that?
there's
15 to
something
19.
stupid, and they won the World Series.
Exactly. So I mean, it's really early. It's tough to really say, hey, you got no shot, you know. And I understand that they got swept by Baltimore. Like whatever, sweeps happen, stuff happens, but I never thought like, wow, like season's done. Who cares about the last 159 games? Like I think the Red Sox have some good baseball in front of them. I think the offense is going to heat up, which they did on Wednesday, and I expect that going forward. Pitching's a different story, but I think
No, the pitching's been really good.
yeah,
Get out Garrett Richards.
exactly.
It's been pretty good.
I don't know how sustainable the rotation will be, but I believe the offense has the versatility. I believe they have like JD Martinez. He's off to a fantastic start. Christian Vasquez, fantastic start. And I think a lot of the struggles that they'll eventually face in the rotation and the bullpen can be sorted out with their offense. So I picked the Red Sox to win over 79.5 games. And even after the 0-3 start, I was just like, again, it's super early. I don't really take too much stock into it. Now, if they start off, I don't know, if they start off 2-15 or something like that, then that's reason for caution.
Yeah.
Then you're in a real whirlwind here. But I mean, if they
No,
start off
3-3, it doesn't
exactly 3-3, and let's say they start off 7-10 for the sake of argument, right? Big freaking deal. The whole season's in front of us. Now, I know you mentioned injuries before. What do you think of the injury rate? It's the first couple weeks.
I don't know. Maybe it's not conditioning because spring training wasn't. I mean, it was pretty like normal.
It was in person, but it's still a little bit different.
And
Just some
there was
sort.
like 60 games last year, and that probably had a factor. And there's no spring training last year, and maybe they could train like they usually are because of COVID restrictions.
Yep.
I don't know. There's a lot of players like Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts is
Tatis.
day to day. Obviously, Tatis will get into the second. But yeah, I don't
It's
know.
yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a lot. It could be the cold weather. You pull a muscle, but granted, I know you mentioned Bellinger and Betts. Those are two West Coast teams, so the weather isn't really too much of a factor there. Same thing with Tatis. I mean, I guess those things just happen. I imagine with conditioning and stuff, getting back into the normal routine will certainly help.
Do you like the extra inning rule? Because
You
I
know what,
love
Pete?
the extra inning.
I was just going to ask you that, Peter. I was literally just going to ask you that. I love it. I 100% love it. I'll tell you why. I think from a pace of play standpoint, I think it's really effective. I just like seeing those strategic situations where the manager has to really think, make a decision. So obviously with the new extra inning rules, they started to be in effect last year where there was a runner on second starting in the top of the 10th, and it goes all the way through. And I think it creates just so many different strategies. I really like it. Pace of play. I think relievers, it really changes things.
You're
Like
seeing people dragging bunts down. You're seeing people
that's so
going to
fun,
third
and it
base.
makes
Like
Yeah, and it makes managers like really have to think about it. Like, do I want to lay down a bunt? And then
The Rays like
exactly
intentionally walk Verdugo to get to JD, which is absolutely insane.
to set up a double
Yeah,
play.
double
Like,
play.
there's so many different elements of it, and I just think it's so cool. I like it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but personally, I think that's insane. I love it. I think it's great for the game. I think it's exciting. It'll help the pace of play because who likes to watch a 17 inning game where it's 1-1?
Yeah,
You know,
I was talking to my friends. I remember when we were watching a West Coast game and we're like sleeping over, whatever. Obviously, it starts at 10 because they're on the West Coast. Then it went to the like 19th inning or something, and we woke up and it was still on.
like that's
Like,
kind of
no.
stuff. It happens in baseball, but look, the NHL has like a shootout. Obviously, it's not apples to apples, but you need to have some sort of wrinkle here, make things a little bit interesting. Not to mention, it'll help save pitching staffs because, like you mentioned, when those 19 inning games happen, you blow up an entire bullpen in one day, and then the next day you're absolutely screwed. You might have to use the starter for the next day, and all that stuff gets screwed up. I like it. I think it's great from strategies for pace of play. I think it's a home run.
With all that, good one. With
No
all
pun
that being
intended.
said, though, I want it to be gone with the playoffs. I don't know if that was a thing last year with the playoffs, but I don't want that being touched in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. As much as I like it,
You're gonna
I
miss
see your
those
point.
19 inning games with Valdi going like 8 innings.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Like, I don't
Regular
want them
season
to.
though, I'm
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, that's true.
100%.
Do you like the YouTube thing too? How the
Ugh.
Red Sox played on YouTube?
I don't have an issue with the whole if YouTube or like the NFL with Amazon getting involved. Like, I think that's cool, but I don't like how it's only exclusive for YouTube. Like, I wish it was also on Nessun or whatever ESPN, whatever network wants to air it. I just kind of hate that it's just on these exclusive like streaming
I
platforms.
thought it was weird because I know it's for the people that don't have cable and want to cut the cord, and it's a reason
Yeah,
why to cut the cord.
but
But
show them both, and you get
come
both
on, yeah, I
audiences.
know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not the biggest fan. Like again, I'm totally for like yeah, if YouTube wants the rights to baseball and stuff, and they want to put their games on YouTube, totally fine. But also put them for the cable people that
Yeah,
have cable.
it's gonna be once a week, which is weird. I said that at the
Like
beginning of the show.
I personally, I'm not a huge streaming service person. Like I have the Netflix, Disney, Hulu, like I have all that crap, but like I don't really watch them unless like I'm watching a show or a movie or whatever. Like I'm not like, oh, I'm home. I'm gonna put on Netflix and just scroll through. Like I'm not one of those guys. But that's just me personally. Like I like watching like live TV, like Celtics games, like whatever Red Sox or like whatever. Like I just like scrolling through the channels. And I'm like, oh, this is on. Like Family Guy. Like oh, cool. Like The Office. Like whatever. That's just me personally.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I thought it was weird.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I think it's here to stay. And
Yeah.
you already saw it with the NFL with Amazon. That's exclusive starting in 2023.
Yep.
Buckle up and just get used to the change, I guess, huh?
Yeah, that's true. Well, we can get to Tatis real quick.
Yep.
How does that work? So he's on the 10-day IL.
Yep.
And they don't want him to sling it back, but they'll try him again in like 15 days. But he needs to get surgery or whatever.
So I think there's a lot of unknowns with this Tatis injury. I think the Padres, I think maybe they're a little bit unsure themselves. And I think they want to take obviously extra. So if I'm them, right? Let's say the extent is 2 weeks, right? I say, Tatis, you take 3 weeks. Like, we're not going to rush you back, defer you, and risk losing you for October or the summer. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're kind of trying to take their time, get to the bottom of it. Again, Tatis just got paid. They just gave him a significant amount of money. He's the franchise, and you need to make sure he's healthy.
Yeah, that's true. I thought it was a little weird though, because I don't know if the report, because the MRI came clean, and then they're like, yeah, he might need surgery, but we'll try it again in like 10 days. It's like that's.
I think so. I think they're going to shut him down. And they're just going to see if there's a change. If there's swelling or whatever else.
It looked bad though.
It did at first. A lot of people were like, "Crap! Like is Tatis done for the year?"
Yeah.
So it's good for baseball that it's not a season-ending injury because
He's the new face of MLB. Get out of here, Trout. Trout was never the MLB face. It's not marketable at all.
I'm thinking either him or Betts, Tatis or Betts.
Yeah, that's true. Tatis just has a personality. He doesn't care.
So who is more recognizable? Who's the most recognizable athlete in baseball?
Probably Trout then.
You think so?
I don't know. He's just been around for a while. Tatis.
It might be Trout. It might be Trout, but I just can't get rid of that ESPN survey that came out a long time ago, and they said Kenneth Faried was more popular than Mike Trout was.
That's what's bad about it because MLB has like no. Well, they have stars, but they have like no star power like the
I say it's
NBA
Betts.
or the
Yeah,
NFL.
I
You know?
say it's Betts or Tatis.
Yeah.
But I think Trout, I see him on more commercials, at least a little bit now. I think you're not asking me who the better player is. I
No,
go
no,
with
no.
Trout
Yeah.
50 out of 50. But Trout, Betts, Tatis, if you want to throw Harper in there, like Harper's probably a step down. Those are the guys, And I mean, if Trout played in New York, would that change? I don't know. I mean, Betts in Boston was a pretty significant figure. I think he's a pretty significant figure in LA as well. So I think he's up there. He's in the conversation anyway.
And 2 seconds on the Mets. The Mets are always going to be the Mets. You see the Jacob deGrom start 2 days ago?
Oh, yeah. I saw another stat. I don't have it in front of me,
He's
unfortunately.
he has like a 2 ERA and he's lost.
They're
like,
under 500.
Yeah.
They're like 30 and
Absolute
41 when
race.
I know. And the Mets have to fix their bullpen. I think that's a pretty known fact. I still think they win the NL East.
Me too.
I
But
still think
Mets
they
are always
can-
going to Met.
I know.
So bad.
Poor
Sorry,
Nate.
Nate.
Poor Nate. But I do think Nate's he's gonna have some good fortunes in front of him. Like I mentioned, I think they win the NL East. I think they're gonna be a pretty good team this year. I don't think they're gonna be necessarily contenders to win the World Series. Like I don't think they're in the Dodgers Padres like level. But I think they're in that tier below, like we
Yeah.
talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I just saw it on Twitter and I started laughing. I was like, of course.
Poor Nate.
Like, yeah.
Now we're gonna talk about some NFL action here, right? So NFL free agency flurry is pretty much over, predominantly over. Everyone's kind of just waiting around till the NFL draft, which is the end of April. So it's rapidly approaching. So I think that's been pretty much at the forefront of everyone's mind. But one thing that happened this week was Sam Darnold, a Jets quarterback, was traded to the Carolina Panthers for a 2021 sixth round pick and a second and fourth round pick in 2022. What do you think of Darnold going to Carolina? Are you surprised? Do you like the fit? Do you hate the fit? What do you think?
I mean, I wasn't really surprised because the Carolina Panthers wanted a quarterback in general, and they were on the Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson sweepstakes. But thank God Sam Darnold can get out of the New York. Because I love Sam Darnold, but I just think he was in a bad situation for a long time. And I think it's going to be like a Ryan Tannehill situation where he got rid of Gase, and now it's with Joe Brady and stuff. I think his career is going to be rejuvenated. I think he's going to be really well, maybe not really good, but I think he's going to be what he was supposed to be in New York.
I
He's
agree
reunited
with
with Robbie Anderson. That should help, and obviously McCaffrey and stuff. So it
Yeah.
should be all right.
I agree with you. So it was a little weird. I wrote about it a couple weeks ago with the Jets and Sam Darnold. So the Jets obviously hold the second overall pick in the NFL draft, and they're likely going to take Zach Wilson, quarterback from BYU. There really hasn't been much talks about a Sam Darnold trade the last couple weeks. Like we saw some NFL moves go down revolving a quarterback, like Andy Dalton went to Chicago, Fitzpatrick went to the Washington football team. Like we saw some holes kind of get filled. We saw that. Stafford got traded to the Rams. Goff went back to the Lions. Like we saw a couple different things. But Sam Darnold didn't get moved, and the whole free agency frenzy went by. And I had my antenna up, and I was like, that's a little odd. The first thing that came to my mind was the Jets are really holding out for a first round pick for Darnold, because I do think the Jets really like and value Sam Darnold. I think they think he can bounce back in a new system. Like I fully believe that. But I think at the end of the day, they were like, I think Zach Wilson projects to be a high-end starter. And I think another thing that the Jets considered here is if they draft Zach Wilson, they're on that quarterback rookie money for the next 4 or 5 years. Where they're not paying a quarterback.
They're always on the quarterback rookie money, though.
But here's the thing: if Darnold balls out in 2020, well, not balls out. Let's say he plays well. Let's say they trade out of the pick and Darnold has a good year. They have to pay Darnold next year because his 5th-year option is up, and then you start the clock on the massive extension, and then you're looking at $25 million a year. And I think the Jets like Darnold, but they were like, you know what?
That's a good return in all hindsight. That's a good return for Darnold. So second, a fourth, and a sixth.
I don't think it's terrible. I think it's okay. Yeah, again, if you look at it, Darnold, again, he's under 25 years old. I think he's 23. He's got loads of talent, but he's not had the career that many people projected of him. He's had a lot of interceptions. He's missed some games. I like that high upside he has. I liked him in the draft a couple years ago. He was my QB1 for that particular class. In my opinion, I thought Cleveland should have picked him. I was like, how could you pass on Darnold with Mayfield? Like, I didn't like that decision. Obviously, doesn't look fantastic now, my take. But nonetheless, I'm going to stick by it. I think Darnold can be a high-end quarterback. Now you look at him in Carolina, Matt Rule, Joe Brady, they're going to put him in the best possible position to succeed. Like you mentioned, he has Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. He has a stable offensive line. I think he's going to really succeed. I know you mentioned the Ryan Tannehill comparison, and I think that's pretty spot on. I think he can have a year where he protects the football, he plays well, he gets his confidence up, and Carolina can surprise people this year. Like, they have some good pieces on the offense. The defense needs a lot of work, but they have a high-end pick in the first round here. Will they trade down? Will they pick a defensive player? So they're obviously, well, not obviously, but they're likely not going to select a quarterback in the first round. So you can cross their name off the list, most likely. So you can get a high-end defensive player with the top 10 pick. So I think Carolina's in the right direction. They're likely to pick up Sam Darnold's fifth-year option, so they'll have him for next year too. And I think they could have their franchise quarterback. I'm a big believer in Darnold, and I'm totally going to stick by him. I still think he's got the potential to be a star in this league. Not saying he's going to be elite by any stretch, but I think he can be a star.
Yeah, when fantasy football comes around, I'm going to be drafting a lot of Sam Darnold.
I already traded for him in my Dynasty League Monday.
Nice. It's a good pick.
I did, yep.
Nice.
I did. I traded, so in my league, there's 3 rookie draft picks. I traded my 3rd-round rookie draft pick for Darnold.
Nice.
And I think it's a pretty good move. I think there's some high upside on that. I like it a lot. So, obviously, with Darnold heading to Carolina, some dominoes fall. What do you think happens with Teddy Bridgewater? He was the quarterback there last year. Do you think he kind of gets – does he get cut? Do you think he gets dealt? Do you
so what
think
does he
they
sign
try to
for?
hold him? So I can pull up his deal quickly. So he signed there last offseason.
Yeah. I think he's just going to get not traded, but I think he's just going to stay for at least this year. I don't know what he's.
So here's his
doing,
contract.
But
so
I know they were talking about earlier. He's guaranteed $10 million regardless from the Panthers, regardless where he goes.
So he signed a 3-year, $63 million deal in 2020 with Carolina. So this year he has a cap hit of $22 million and a dead cap of $20 million. So if they cut him, they save $2 million, but they still have to pay him $10 million, like you just mentioned. Yeah. So again, it's a little complicated. So they're paying him $10 million regardless. So I think he probably won't be in Carolina next year. I think here's my opinion and wild take, whatever you may be. San Francisco says they want a bridge quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is their bridge quarterback next year, not Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to cost half the amount of money as Jimmy Garoppolo. Apparently, he has a close-ish relationship with Kyle Shanahan.
Are they going to trade Garoppolo to the Panthers?
No. I just think Garoppolo, when he gets dealt or cut, whatever happens up happening with him, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be their bridge quarterback. It's not going to be Jimmy Garoppolo, because you know how San Francisco's been harping upon, like, oh, we want to keep Garoppolo here.
Yeah.
Gives us best chance to succeed, yada, 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 bull crap, all that. Do I think they want a veteran quarterback in the room? Probably. Like, let's say the rookie isn't ready for the first 6 weeks. So, yeah, I think they want an adult in the room. But Garoppolo, a $24 million player for 6 games, I don't think that's going to happen. Teddy Bridgewater makes a lot more sense. Not to mention, let's say they sign him for a low deal here. Carolina is going to, let's say they sign him for, I don't know, $3 million, right? So it'll be $13 million total for Bridgewater. San Francisco pays him 3. Carolina pays him 10.
That's why I want him on the Pats so bad. The Pats.
Do you?
I know, but that's like the Pats guy. Like, they hate paying people. Give him $11 million. Give him $1 million, and then $10 million for the Panthers. Who says no? I hate how they're committed to Cam. I
don't like Bridgewater. I get
really. He was 5-0 with the Saints.
I get that. He didn't have a good year. Well, let me rephrase. He had a mediocre year in Carolina. I thought he would have a better year.
Or something.
15 touchdowns, 11 interceptions.
Yeah, something like that.
He missed some games. I'm worried about his durability. But again, if he's here for nothing, I'll shut my mouth. I'd rather have Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, he's my plan.
Well,
A.
yeah, but I don't think he's gonna get dealt.
I still think he does. I still think that's an option. But now, let's say he doesn't get dealt, right? I still would rather them draft a quarterback in rounds, I don't know, 2 or 3. Then I don't know. I'm not a Bridgewater guy. I'm really not. I understand the fit. He's a pocket passer. He probably couldn't do some things that Cam Newton can't do in terms of throwing the football, in terms of accuracy. He had a 69% completion percentage in 2020, which is higher than Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton was around 65%. But overall, I don't know if I trust Teddy Bridgewater. But again, if you're bringing him for nothing, like you mentioned, yeah, sign me up. And if Garoppolo's off the table and it looks like they can't get their hands on one of those top rookie quarterbacks, whether it's rounds 1 or 2, then yeah, I guess I'll take Bridgewater for a low amount of money. But I just don't necessarily trust him, like, personally.
I like him a little bit.
It's like
I think he's a
just
good bridge guy. Good backup.
a lot of puns.
I didn't even mean to do that. That's good.
I think he's San Francisco's bridge guy. I think that just makes a lot more sense. But I guess we're going to see with that. No, we were just talking about the draft. I am going to spring to another draft conversation here. So, like we mentioned, San Francisco is going to take a quarterback right now with the Jets trading Sam Darnold. They're obviously going to draft a quarterback. Jaguars got Trevor Lawrence. We understand that. So the NFL draft is going to start at 4th overall. The Atlanta Falcons on the clock.
Well,
should they?
Maybe.
Well, should they keep the pick and draft a quarterback or skill position player or whoever else, or should they look for a king's ransom and trade the pick? So Matt Ryan's 36. I think he'll be 37. He has, I think, 2 more years left on his contract. How do you feel about the Falcons?
So, assuming that the 49ers pick Trey Lance, because I don't think that's a certainty, but you do.
I said Mac Jones. Mac Jones.
Wait, what?
San Francisco's going to get Mac Jones, in my opinion.
Oh, you don't think they're going to? Okay. Regardless, I think they're going to pick either Kyle Pitts or an offensive lineman.
Okay. So you think they're sticking with Matt Ryan?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to pick Trey Lance if you think they're going to make Mac Jones or Justin Fields.
What would you do if you're the Falcons?
Pick Kyle Pitts.
Okay,
you saw how good they were with Austin Hooper back there.
So you still ride out with Matt Ryan the next couple of years?
Yeah, I don't think Matt Ryan is not as bad as everybody thinks. Their defense is terrible. Terrible.
So if you're the Falcons, right, you're in a unique situation. I know there's some reports. Falcons head coach Arthur Smith, he wants them to stick with Matt Ryan, and he wants them to draft, like you mentioned, Pitts or help at left tackle. Now, the GM is kind of leaning towards quarterback, so it's a little bit of according to Chris Bortenson of ESPN, so it's kind of a little bit of a rift, kind of a disagreement. I understand both sides because you look at it from one angle and you're like, well, you're here at 4th overall, and you don't want to be back at 4th overall again. You can get your guy here. You could have Matt Ryan for a year, and then you could make the transition to Justin Fields or whoever else. But then you're like, well, we think Matt Ryan still has a little bit of something, and we want to surround him the best he can in the twilight of his career, a.k.a. Kyle Pitts, or you protect him with a left tackle. So I understand both arguments. I think trading down is another possibility for them. If a team like...
Listen, if you want to trade down with Denver...
Exactly. If Denver comes calling, they're like, we'll give you 2 first-round picks.
Or
and
like
then you're just
Vikings,
like,
or even the
Pats. Or even the, I don't know, the
Raiders,
Bears, whoever else.
Bears.
And you're just like, yeah, I think we do that in that situation. So I think Atlanta kind of holds the cards for this draft. As crazy as it sounds, because quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3. Now, whoever they are is gravy. They're going 1, 2, 3. Now, the question is, what do they do it for? Do they trade down, skill position? Do they continue the quarterback carousel? I think they're a very interesting team to watch, and they hold the keys to this draft, in my opinion.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I'm pumped. I can't wait.
3 weeks?
It's about 3 weeks. Yeah, we're gonna have Brandon
30th.
Carr, Daily Goat contributor. He writes weekly articles on the Daily Goat called Carr's Prospect Corner, and he breaks down college prospects and how they translate in the NFL. Last week he broke down some of the best pro days. So he's gonna talk our ears off about these prospects. So I'm very intrigued to hear some of his takes and conversations.
Yeah, and maybe more deals will go in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep. Okay, Peter. Now we're gonna bring on a special guest. We're gonna bring on TJ Albin of Cheap Talk Wrestling, of the OG era, of the ring announcer. So WrestleMania is this Saturday and Sunday. It's a 2-day event. So he's gonna help us. And help the listeners have their best bets for the weekend's cards for Saturday and Sunday at WrestleMania. So WrestleMania is in Tampa Bay, Florida. TJ will be live in Tampa Bay. He will be there to witness everything that takes place on Saturday and Sunday. So without further ado, TJ, welcome to Pombo and Peter's Picks. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Making the champ wait. I guess I'm the main event here, huh?
Speaking of the main event, TJ.
No, you're the dark match.
PJ, you are the dog match. Come on, let's be real. The champ does what he wants here. I'm the main event here, buddy. I'm the main event here. You're the dark match. Actually, you're before the dark match. You're the guy making the ring. Come on, let's be real. You're the guy putting the ring together. Getting me a cup of coffee.
All right, Rocky, I just don't kick you right now. All right, let's.
All right,
Other
TJ.
news.
Go ahead.
In other news, TJ.
Do my own prediction show,
In other
which
news,
is on Saturday.
in other news, you flew to Tampa. You've been there since
Yeah.
yesterday. What are you most looking forward to for this WrestleMania 37?
So other than the matches, I'm excited to have the experience of being at a show again, having that audience back in the arenas, right? This is the first show for the WWE to have fans since last year. And it's just exciting to see. It's 37% capacity. It's funny that it's 37% because it's WrestleMania 37. Looked that up before. Thank goodness. Thank you, Wikipedia. Hopefully that's correct on Wikipedia. Everything on Wikipedia is true. So anyway, going into WrestleMania, I'm excited about a lot of the matches. Some not so much, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's what it is. It's what the WWE wants to put out there. They're going to rehash some stuff out there that they want to see the fan reaction for. Example that I bring up on my show is Drew McIntyre's WrestleMania 36 reaction. They want to redo that with this year with the fans in attendance. So I can't take that away from Drew, but there's a lot that goes into that match too, how it could play out better. There could be a better situation for it. But like I said, I'm happy to be there too. I'm excited for it. This is my second Mania that I've been to. My first one was WrestleMania 29 in New York when it was John Cena versus The Rock 2. I guess it wasn't just once in a lifetime, huh, John? It's twice in a lifetime. But I'm excited for it. I got the goosebumps. I'm excited. As soon as I landed, I felt it. I told you guys before, I was tired when I landed, but as soon as I landed and walked out the plane, I was excited because it's WrestleMania, buddy. WrestleMania.
All right, so let's get into it. What is your safest bet? Who is just your safest winner for either the Saturday card or the Sunday card? What's your luck? Or as we call on our show, the premium pick
of the week. Yeah.
So what is your premium pick?
My premium?
Yeah, premium pick of the week.
I'll say my premium pick of the week, and I've said it on my show, is Asuka taking Rhea Ripley. That's my safe pick because with Rhea Ripley, for you, Jay, to kind of explain, I know Peter watches a little bit of wrestling, but for you to kind of explain it, Rhea Ripley is just entering the WWE, kind of like making her second chance, I guess. She was in the WWE last year. She was a main eventer for last year in the NXT championship match between her and Charlotte Flair. She didn't win the match, obviously, last year. I mean, it's what it is. It was the booking. Charlotte Flair won the NXT title, but this year it's different. She's now the challenger as she's challenging Asuka, the defending champion. She's been the champion for almost a year. It'll be a year in June. But for Asuka, she has a lot of power going into this match. She's a more dominant champion. Rhea Ripley has improved to be a main event player. I feel as though for this match, it goes in favor of Asuka. But then again, it's how it is for wrestling. It's any given day. But for Asuka, I think for that match, she retains her WWE Raw Women's Championship.
With all that being said, Rhea Ripley is a minus 400 favorite, the third most favorite on this card for Asuka plus 250.
Right,
The
so
other one
TJ
is the Fiend minus 950. That's the biggest favorite on the whole entire board. And then Seth Rollins at minus 850.
All right,
Oh,
TJ.
and then Bad Bunny is minus 750.
TJ, another question for you. Do you see any upsets occurring? Do you see any transitions from champion to champion? Any upsets? Anything wild that could happen here?
So, and I bring it up again. So, for Mania this Sunday, is the main event is a triple threat match between Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. Now, Daniel Bryan is the heavy favorite in this match. That is the only shock and surprise I could see going into that match at Mania. For Roman Reigns being a dominant champion as he is, and for Edge to be the veteran in this match, the ring general, I can't see Edge or Roman taking the title. But if there is a bet out there, I didn't look this up, but I want to see who's involved in the finish of that match. So who taps out, who gets pinned, to kind of put it that way. If anything, it's not going to be Roman, it's going to be Edge. Edge is going to be the one either get pinned or tapped. That's how I can see that match finishing. If that's a bet, I'll take that any day.
Okay,
But
so anything involving Edge.
Edge is a plus 115 favorite.
What, to win the match?
To win the match. Roman
Okay.
Reigns is a plus 150 second favorite, and Daniel Bryan is plus 200.
like I said, I see Daniel Bryan taking the title. Only reason is because he's on a hot streak right now in wrestling. When it comes to his in-ring gimmick, his character that he presents to the fans, it's just something that people just attach on to and just run with it. And I feel like he's in this match to get that hype for the WWE, for that I'll put it as a cheap pop. When you're excited, you just express your emotions, man. And that's what people should be doing at WrestleMania because one, there's fans. Two, Daniel Bryan's taking the title. Three, it's no longer on Roman Reigns. And four, because I'm there with my Cheap Talk Wrestling Championship. That's why people are going to be popping for that.
I'm going to ask you one more, and then Peter, if you want to pepper him with a question or two, you can. So, will there be any guest appearances from someone like, I don't know, Gronk was there, I believe it was last year.
Yep.
Is there anyone that you could see, whether it's a professional athlete, from a different sport, actor, actress, whatever it may be? I don't know. Do you foresee anything like that?
I could see Gronk. I could see Gronk coming back, making an appearance after winning the Super Bowl, being a part of that.
1,000% agree with you. Tell you what, I would be shocked if he wasn't.
Doesn't Vince McMahon hate Gronk though?
But
no, how could you? It's a mutual agreement. At the end of the day, that was a mutual agreement.
So, Peter, this is how I look at it. It's in Tampa Bay here. They just won the Super Bowl. There is going to be something Gronk related. I'd be shocked if it wasn't, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's true. I just thought they didn't like each other
because don't they? I mean,
TJ,
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, what's up?
So obviously they go to different cities and stuff like New York, LA, whatever.
Yeah.
Do they ever tie it in with the city? Like, where was it last year?
Yeah, the only reason why it's in Florida this year because it was supposed to be last year.
So when it's in a location like, I don't know, New York, San Francisco, whatever, do they ever tend to that region? Like
they do.
Okay.
So to kind of give you an example, so
like Dallas and Stone Cold.
Yeah, so they tie it into everything that they present, everything that they appear on. For example, actually, so I just pre-ordered this T-shirt for Mania. It says "Home of the Champions," and I think they knew I was coming because I'm the champ. But no, I'm kidding. No, because the Buccaneers just won it. This is the first. I think this is the first time in a while they're in a stadium where the home champion won a Super Bowl, and on top of that, now being Buccaneers winning it at home, being the home team, winning it at home, and now hosting WrestleMania in their home, they can kind of use that as kind of like a publicity stunt, a gimmick. You know, they can make it a gimmick for the night. You know, it's what it is. Like the T-shirt says "Home of the Champions." I bought it. I said I gotta get it because that's funny as hell. That's funny to like look at. It's great to look at. It's different. Like with New York, they did the same thing. They had the Empire State Building on a T-shirt with the WrestleMania logo. They always tie it in some way, somehow. But back to your original question with the celebrity, I can see Gronk because they're very heavy on the New England guys, even though they're not in New England or he's not in New England. They're still heavy on the guy, no matter what. They're still going to be big on him. Same thing. It wouldn't surprise me to see. Well, actually, they already announced Logan Paul. I think Jake Paul is going to be there as well. He's part of a storyline between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which is another big match that I'm excited for. So for them to be involved in that is great too, because you're getting the celebrity audience, you're getting that mainstream audience that watches it on Peacock now. Like if they have that premium, guess what? Now it's included with it. So you can just watch it at any time versus just paying an additional, like whatever fee it is. I think it's like $10 a month. So
Peter, do you have any other questions for TJ?
No, that was going to be my question. Do you think somebody's going to come back? Like any retired people? So Undertaker's not going to come back. John Cena's not going to come back.
No, so John Cena's out. He's filming in Canada, I believe.
Yeah.
For Peacemaker. I don't see that big of returns. I see maybe some like Hall of Famers being there. Obviously, Hulk's there, unfortunately. But brother, what are you going to do about that? I can see. Like I said, I see some like celebrities. If anything, this is just a shot in the dark here. They have the special coming out with Chris Jericho, who's signed with All Elite Wrestling out of Jacksonville. It wouldn't surprise me if he just made like a guest cameo appearance in the back just to kind of promote that show on Sunday that they're doing together with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I can see them doing something like that. Maybe a guest appearance like that would be big, but I can't think of anybody else, honestly.
Okay, so I think that concludes our WrestleMania segment. So TJ, we hope you have a lot of fun. We hope you get to see a lot of your predictions come correct. Be sure to send us a lot of pictures and videos and your vlogs.
Definitely.
So be sure to check out TJ on Cheap Talk Wrestling. Usually comes out every Monday. OG Era usually comes out every Saturday. TJ writes his usually weekly or bi-weekly article for the ring announcer. It's all wrestling content. So if you want to talk wrestling, TJ is your man.
Definitely check us out Saturday for a special pre-show. And trust me when I tell you, you're going to hate the editor.
Okay, so Peter, that concludes our WrestleMania segment. You want to get into our picks for the weekend?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go. You want to start off for your pick for Friday, April 9th?
Yeah, so my pick for Friday is the Washington Capitals over the Buffalo Sabres. Short and sweet. Capitals are number 1 in the East. The Sabres are the last in the East. Ovechkin might win MVP. We'll talk about that in a few weeks. And the Sabres a week ago lost 18 straight, but they've won 2 in a row. But I think they're absolutely dog crap, and the Caps should slide over the Sabres.
For my Friday pick, I am going to go with the Los Angeles Dodgers over the Washington Nationals. Walker Buehler is scheduled to be on the mound, and that's also going to be my premium pick. So Walker Buehler was someone that I really considered to be a heavy Cy Young candidate. And I think he's going to have a really good show. Battle of the NL East here. I'm going to go with the Dodgers here. How about for Saturday?
And since it's WrestleMania season, so my Saturday pick is McIntyre over Lashley, just because that there's fans, they want a piece of that. Since they didn't have it at the Rumble, they didn't have it at WrestleMania last year when he won it the first time. So, and Lashley is going to probably feud with the Hurt Business. So I think there's more story with Lashley on the other side, not being champion, with McIntyre being the champion overall anyway. So I like him at -200.
Okay, for me anyway, I'm going to transition to the NBA now. I'm going to go with the Brooklyn Nets over the Los Angeles Lakers. The Nets are starting to get a little bit of health here. They're trying to get a little bit healthier. Kevin Durant, he looked poised to be back this week, which is big news. He looks like he can be active for Wednesday's game. So I think if Durant gets healthy, Kyrie is having a career season. Granted, he took his leave of absence. Kyrie has been putting on a show night in and night out. And the Lakers, obviously, they have tons of injuries here. Still no LeBron, no Davis. They're banged up. It's as simple as that. And I think I like Brooklyn in this matchup here. How about for Sunday, Peter?
So my Sunday, WrestleMania Night 2, my premium pick of the week is Daniel Bryan winning at +200 over the triple threat over Reigns and Edge. I think, as TJ said, that he's going to beat Edge because they don't want him to pin Roman Reigns. But I think Daniel Bryan is supposed to retire soon. I think he's just going to ride off into the sunset after Mania. Probably in a few weeks, they're going to drop it at Reigns again because he didn't really lose it. And they just want to appease the fans with Daniel Bryan and stuff. So that's why he's my premium pick of the week at +200.
Okay. Now, for me anyway, in terms of Sunday, I'm going to stick with the NBA here. I am going to go with the Chicago Bulls over the Minnesota Timberwolves. T-Wolves, right? Arguably the worst team in the NBA here. Chicago Bulls, they got better at the trade deadline. I love Nikola Vucevic. I think that's a huge addition. And I like that roster for the future. Granted, this year, obviously, there's a lot of talent in the upper half of the East with Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Philadelphia. But I like Chicago's future. I like Zach LaVine a lot. I love Vucevic. I love Lauri Markkanen. I think Chicago has a nice little core. And Minnesota, they seem just to be going in the wrong direction. Karl Anthony Towns is a great player. He just doesn't have enough talent with him, and he just hasn't really propelled himself as much as I anticipated he would.
I like all of our picks. I think this is going to be the week.
You think this is the week we go 6-0?
Yeah, hopefully, unless the wrestling gods hates me because it's all fake anyway. It's all scripted. So we blame that next week if that happens.
It is not
Peter's fault if that happens.
Peter's fault.
Man.
Agreed. So thank you all for listening. We will see how our picks translate next week. Thank you all for listening. Peter, thank you.
Stay hot.